IronWill podcast, Ravi, high performance, goal achievement, success, and talking to interesting people so we can learn and understand how we can succeed because we belong here and we deserve success too. Today, I'm here with Pete Taylor. Pete is a lot of things. He's an entrepreneur. He is a leader of a movement called the Awakened Man Project. He's a men's coach. But importantly, for the purposes of this podcast and what our audience are really interested in, Pete's been on a hell of a journey and is a very interesting character to me because Pete dedicated himself and devoted his life's blood to building a business and was successful. And this is fantastic. And he had a lot of the trappings associated with success. And for many guys like me and you guys out there, he was where a lot of us want to be. And curiously enough, in 2021, Pete quit the business that he dedicated himself to building and started a different journey entirely, which led to something called the Awakened Man Project, which led to his inner journey and unlocking the potential of men around the world. And he's here today with us to talk to us. And to start, Pete, I want us to go back to the previous iteration of you. Before you came to us today, I want to go back to Pete of 2021, and I'd like you to express how that experience was, how he felt, and allow us to understand more of what contributed to you quitting in 2021 and starting the project that you now lead.
Yeah, thanks, Ravi. Thanks for the intro. Guys, for anyone listening, my name's Pete Taylor. Just to give you a quick backstory on the business itself and then what led to me leaving that very, very abruptly and very, very quickly in 2021. I set that business up. I had the business for nearly 7 years. 1 year of that was just in the background. We were working in a corporate career and building it in the background, then made the leap, then built it from living room all the way to 3-story building in Ascot High Street, which we owned with a team of 20 people, and we had tenants in the building and so forth, right? So living rooms to big buildings. So it was an architectural practice, an interior practice, and we would do construction as well. We went from designing garden sheds and front porches all the way through to multi-million pound developments and big mansions and some of the biggest and richest houses in the UK. And it was one hell of a journey. But in 2021, I quit very, very quickly, very, very abruptly. And I think this is something that probably a lot of guys can relate to, is that I suppressed emotions and suppressed anger and suppressed a lot of shit for many, many years. And then one day, it was on a Saturday morning, one of my team members had just messaged me, and it was a little message. He was pissed off about something, and it was a problem that I was going to have to deal with. And it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was like, that's it. Do you know what? I'm done. And I made the decision there, right there. It'd been in the back of my head for that year, that at some stage I would depart and I would do something different. And the Awakened Man Project had already started, right? So the Awakened Man Project itself had already started behind the scenes. There were already guys in that group. And I thought to myself, Pete, how fucking out of integrity are you that you are beginning to lead a group of men and you're helping these guys take bigger fucking shots in their lives, right? For them to really believe that they can achieve more, yet you aren't doing it yourself. You are sat in the company that you're not happy with, and you're sat in an environment that you're not happy with, your emotional state is deteriorating, you need to do something about it. And so I did. And within 3 months, I was out of the business, and I'd done an exit there, and the business still goes on. It's still continued. I've built plenty of systems and operations and procedures within that so it can do so. And then I went off to fulfill growing the Awakened Man movement.
Beautiful. And how familiar a tale for so many who've been on a journey where there is things going on underneath the surface that we are, at some level, we're aware of that they're happening, but we drive ourselves forward because we are ambitious and we do want to excel and succeed. And you were being committed for this in the world. You were offering value to the world. You were delivering a lot of value that was getting you rewarded, and that's great. But like many, there was the question of meaning and purpose and signs internally that you were quite fulfilled. And I relate to that very heavily because I had a similar moment, actually. I talked to you a little bit about this when we met, but my own moment came at around 21 after, very similarly to yourself, a lot of emotional suppression, huge amounts of suppression of anger, huge amounts of suppression of so many areas of life that I didn't think I deserved to explore. Cloistered myself away and just kind of worked very obsessively until I realized, shit, I'm about to turn 30 and this is where I am. So I embarked on my own self-improvement project from there, and I did a lot of the work, so to speak, from there, which takes us into what I want to ask you now. What was inner work for you? How did you deal with the emotional suppression? How when you moved from living more in alignment with your own values and putting yourself more into integrity with your vision, what did that look like? Were you journaling? Were you meditating? Were you visualizing? I'd be curious to see how Pete approaches this problem.
Here's the thing. I've been in the personal development world as a consumer since the age of 15. I picked up a book there, how to be confident, how to talk to people. And I'd been in this world for a long time. But what I'd fallen into in my early 20s was more of the business growth. So, and I was gaining a lot of personal growth from growing a business. But what that didn't teach me was it didn't teach me emotional resilience. It didn't teach me like anti-fragility. And what that led to was that I was suppressed, just like we just talked about. But actually what helped me and what I suppose gave me my awakening, without sounding all woo-woo and wanky, is that it was never about the what. It was never about the how. Because I was always looking for the fucking how. I always wanted the next tactic, the next system, the next, if I journal in this way, or if I meditate in this way, then it's going to be the fucking answer that I need to wake the fuck up and get on with what I need to do in life. It was never about that. It was about the who. And the day I fucking realized that, it was about who I need to become, who I need to be. Who's the man that I will listen to? Who's the man that I could create that my son would look at and say, yeah, that's my dad. Like that's a role model. Like, who's the man that I would create that other people would look at me and go, that's the man that I will listen to. And that's what it was about. And it was the day that I really stepped the fuck up and started to create that man. And look at my own character. Look at how I was showing up day to day. Look at my daily disciplines. Look at how undisciplined I was in particular areas. And it's like, hey, Pete, is that the type of man you want to be? Do you want to lay in bed? Do you want to watch Netflix for 6 hours? Like, do you want to be lazy? Do you want to make the sales calls or not? And every time that I'd step back into the comfort zone, I knew I wasn't being the man that I knew that I could be, and the man that I knew I'd listen to. And that was that. As soon as I'd made that decision. So yeah, I had in the meditation practice and I had the journal practice, and yeah, they helped. Absolutely. They are like the 1%ers, you can stack those 1%ers, and they compound as well, right? You do those 1% things every day and you stack those things every day. They fucking do compound. It does absolutely work. But the biggest shift was an internal shift in, Pete, step the fuck up, be the man that you would listen to. You've got a son now, right? Be a role model for him.
This is it. It is about action, and there's no real shirking the work or getting out around it. It is a question of reps and closing the gap between where we are and where we want to be. Is about stepping up and doing that work. And if anyone follows you on social media, they'll see that you are literally doing it every day. And that is what makes the difference. We can talk about techniques and journals, and we can talk about optimizing our workout routines and our programs, but it does come down to training yourself to make it happen and just to execute. Because we know if there's certain things that we do with utter dedication and consistency, as we're talking about at the start of this, then you will excel. You will get outcomes. It's just the way the world works. A quote I love from Charlie Munger is, the best way to get what you want is to pay the price, because the universe is not yet so insane that it will not reward a truly deserving person. If you genuinely bust your ass, you're gonna start moving in things. So I appreciate this very much, about affirming the importance of setting your standards and living up to it. But in this, I want to talk about mindset and how Pete creates breakthroughs in men. So for yourself, Pete, when it comes to creating breakthroughs in men, what are the key mindsets that you want to get them into?
I have a different approach to the guys on the program. In the Awaken Man program, there's a number of us guys that coach. My approach is different. It's very, very full on. And yeah, there are times that I will be empathetic and I'll put my arm around a guy. And because I've been there and I've been through the fucking bad times. I've been through many, many adversity. And every time, or no matter how fucking painful it is, it's always made me stronger. One of the key questions I'll always ask a guy who's not living up to his potential, who's playing at a level 2 or playing at level 3 and knows he's got 8, 9, and 10 in the bag, he just can't fucking get there, is that, does he know other men that have the same or similar skill set to him, yet they are achieving way more? The answer is 99% of the time always a yes, that they do know other people that have same or lesser skill set than they do, yet they're achieving way, way more in life. And the answer to that is, it's never like, the next thing to do is, it's never a skill set enhancement. Yes, skill set enhancements are some of the easiest things that we can do, because we can go out and learn new skills. It's easy. Like, if we need to get better at sales, go and do 100 sales calls and do some sales training, and you become better at sales. You just increase that skill. If you need to become better at Facebook ads, for example, right, you can go and do a YouTube course. Right. If you need to become better at leadership, you can go and do a course, you can read some books, you can get some practice. There's a skill. It's easy to like increase a skill. The thing that's missing here is the belief. Right. You can have all the fucking skills in the world. You can have the IQ of Einstein, but if you don't believe that you can get there, you're not going to get there. You can do all that training, but if you have not got the belief, you will have that there will be inner resistance that's consistently pulling you back. And that's the first thing I'll always look at with the guy, is where is that fucking resistance? Where does it come from? Where does it stem from? What is the belief there? And more often than not, after a number of conversations, I can start to pull it out, might be where that will be. but I will give them my belief because I know. Listen, I'm a normal guy. There's nothing special about me, right? And I know that if I can achieve great things, then any man can achieve great things. So if I can instill some belief in them, that I fucking believe in them, I will empower them. And I'll hold them to a very, very fucking high standard. And I won't let them off. And I'm not afraid of calling them out on their bullshit. Not just like, hey, it's okay, mate. I know you're going through a hard time right now. I know you're going through divorce. Or I know that the job didn't work out. It's fuck me. Like I've been through all of these things. And it's tough, right? And it's very easy for me to put an arm around you and you fall into the poor me and into the victim. But that will not serve you. That will not help you grow. It is about holding you to a higher standard and telling you what you need to hear, even when you don't want to fucking hear it. And that's how I get shifts in guys.
Mm, mm. And this is empowering, because the fact of the matter is, the basic belief here is that if you do the work consistently and start to back yourself and believe in yourself and realize you don't have to be a special type of person, you have to be a special genius or have some sort of gift or talent, regular people, if they truly apply themselves, can achieve. And that's good. And that's empowering. And that means that we too can go out and go get those things. So I resonate with this very much so. And I do appreciate that it is very insightfully you highlight that it's these beliefs that we pick up in life where there is resistance, where if you don't believe you can do something, you'll find creative and innovative ways to fuck yourself. You really will, you know. If you have some sort of belief inside you that for whatever reason you can't build a brand because no one's going to listen to you because you haven't got anything worthy to say, if that's a belief, which I don't have, by the way, but if that is one that you have, then you'll have a lot of resistance when it comes to putting yourself out there, and you'll have challenges. But I could speak transparently. I have some beliefs that don't serve me in other areas of my life, right? When it comes to my relationships and other things like that, that persistently cause me to have difficulties. And rewiring those things and doing the work, even in the face of quite unpleasant voices in your head, this is part of our journey, isn't it? And one of the things I've kind of picked up from yourself and watching your content for some time is that that is part of life, and you get better and you face it head on and you continue to press forward, which takes us to the next thing I want us to talk about. Now, I was listening to the series that you produced with Ben, which is the self-sabotage series, and I found that very great, very useful. And the premise of this is that many of us as men put the brakes on our own success and we sabotage ourselves. I'd be curious to know how you yourself were putting the brakes on your success.
Yeah, I know the answer to that. Before I get into that, we have done a micro series on self-sabotage. It's 7 private episodes that any man or woman can listen to. If you want to get that, just text the word sabotage to 82228. Sabotage to 82228, and the podcast link will go to you and you can listen to that. Now, that series breaks down a number of mechanisms and tools that we use with guys to help them unlock why they are self-sabotaging, right? For me, a big one was what we call something called Part X. It's and Part X is just a name for the voice in your head that keeps you fucking small and that wants you to stay in the comfort zone. Now, us, like, it's just like human nature, like our lizard brains kick in and want to keep us safe, want to keep us small and want to keep us safe, just to make sure that we don't go out and we don't get hurt. What that means is that the uncomfortable decisions and the painful decisions that more often than not will see us grow in life, our brain doesn't want us to take them. Our brain will talk us out of them. So here's an example. Here's me yesterday morning. 5:30 in the morning, my alarm goes off, and my brain says, "Pete, stay in bed for a little bit longer, mate. You didn't have a great night's sleep. Up and down, it's really fucking hot. Right, just stay in. You're feeling tired. It's cooler in the room now, so you could actually sleep for another hour or two, really, really easily. Take the rest, buddy." That is part X. He's trying to keep me safe. I know that if I get out of bed, I go and train, go and hit the gym immediately. I go and get my exercise on, go and pump up my endorphins, go and sculpt my physique. I'm going to feel great for the rest of the day. I know that if I listen to part X when he's telling me to stay in bed for a couple of hours, and I do so, and I stay in bed till 7:30, by 11 o'clock, I'll be pissed off. And guess who comes back into my brain? Part X. Pete, you fucking idiot. You should have gone to the gym this morning. Why didn't you go to the gym? You should have gone, mate. You know, every time you go to the gym early in the morning, you feel great for the rest of the day. And even if you've had a shit night's sleep, that gym gives you energy. And because you've pushed through the uncomfort, you gain more energy from that. Your frequency is fucking on a higher vibration now. You're up there, right? That's what would have happened if I would have listened to part X. And that's a tiny little example just from staying in bed, right? That multitudes through business, into relationships, throughout your entire life. Part X will never leave you. He's always there. He's always there to fuck you up. But I know this, that when part X appears in my brain, I know that this is a signal for me that I need to step into what he's telling me not to do, that I need to play a bigger game. And back to your initial question, like, where was I self-sabotaging? I was self-sabotaging by what we call part X, just keeping me fucking small. I wasn't playing the bigger game. I was playing a game that I was comfortable with. I had a team of 20 people. Like, to some, that's big. To others, that's a smidge. It's a bit of dust. And I was very comfortable in that position. And I knew that I had a bigger game in me, that I could create something worldwide and something much bigger, which is part of the reason I left, because I knew my internal sabotage was keeping me small.
See, what I really particularly love about that is when you begin to understand that this is part of a human condition. This is a perennial thing to do with our design, keeping us safe, the lizard brain. And all of us as humans are going to struggle with this. And this is one of the things that I find exceptional value in re-engaging with, having this affirmed to yourself again and again. This is why, for me, success is a team sport. You build a community, you be around men, you have good, strong relationships with each other, you check in with each other. I fortunately have this, very fortunate in that my first mentor, Andy, he was the one that changed my life. He was the one that helped me lose like 7 stone, set my business, like get several promotions in my old career as a project manager. He was exceptional, completely changed my life, and he's a total legend. Then I was fortunate to be allowed to moderate his community. There were thousands of men there, and we have a real brotherhood, genuinely. And there's around 10 who every single day, without fail, we message each other every morning. We talk to each other throughout the day. And we just affirm our principles and constantly check in with each other. Because I think we are very tribal as humans. And as men, we can really powerfully relate to one another. So if I look at your stories, Pete, which I do very frequently, and I can see you're getting after it, you're genuinely living these things, you're in some fantastic shape, you are leading a whole community of men. And you're living these principles. This really helps me. This affirms it to me in a way that really hits. And when I think about some other people who I admire, an example is David Goggins, whose t-shirt I'm wearing right now, actually. But he'll talk about how in the mornings, to this day, he'll get up and stare at his trainers for like an hour sometimes, just dreading that he has to go run, you know? And this is a guy that does ultra marathons. Like he previously had the world record in pull-ups. He does like 200-mile races, and he will sit there like agonizing over putting on his shoe. And it's a daily thing. It's just that it's part of us. As you say, it's part X. And learning this as a man, this helps us because we can find tools and tactics to get around it. And I really believe in having like coaches and mentors and a tribe and community around me in doing that. And I feel like, Pete, that might be something that yourself and the guys who work with you, that might also be something that they're aligned with. What do you think about that? The role of group support in getting to the next level?
I think it's pivotal. I don't even, it's not even, I think it, like, it is pivotal. It's a necessity. It's not only is it a form of leverage where you can extend your knowledge 10x by being in a room or community with 50 other very, very high performing men who are achieving great things, not just in their businesses, but in their relationships. And all it takes is you to learn one piece of wisdom, or to just to see another guy that's just like you, but that is achieving 10 times more than you. And just seeing that can give you that belief. The group, as like I do a lot of one-to-one coaching, like in businesses. So I'll help a business grow, and I'll do it in a one-to-one aspect. I've had some of the most powerful business breakthroughs with my clients when it's in a group format, because you hear what others are going through, and sometimes, and this is really nice, when another man articulates an issue or even articulates a desire, something that they want to achieve, and you're like, fuck yes, that's what he had just said, that's me. I just never been able to articulate it in my brain. I've never been able to process and compute that and put that into words. That man has just put it into words, and now I know what I want, or now I know what I need to go and do next. Right. So
Absolutely.
and I had this actually from Dr. Robert Glover, who wrote the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. It is the leading book for men's work. He is a buddy of ours. He's been on our podcast. He came and talked at our first event over in London. And he said to me, let's just say that you go down the pub, or you go down the park, and you get two men together, two men talking together, right? More often than not, each of those guys will just be in their own head. They're just in their own head, not just thinking about other shit. When you're in a room, right? When you're in a group of conscious, grounded, fucking assertive, powerful men, right? That are achieving, you're not in your own head. Like you are engaged, you are listening, like you are automatically fucking elevating because you are in that room. That's how fucking powerful it is. You don't get that just doing it on your own.
Yeah. It's like, what do they say? The lone wolf is consumed by the pack. And that is what happens. There may be some examples out there of guys who had an idea and went for it. I do not know people like that myself. The folks who I saw in my own journey the last couple of years begin to make real fantastic strides. They leveraged coaches, they leveraged mentors, they leveraged training, that they invested in themselves, and they got ahead. They put systems in place, they had accountability. Success leaves clues. That's what excellence does. I remember a story about Novak Djokovic, and when he wanted to reinvigorate his career, he hired like 14 coaches. He had support for nutrition, strength and conditioning, all these spiritual kind of avenues he was exploring. And hey, he got him a trophy at Wimbledon, so not too bad, eh? But And that is part of the game. It's a commitment that we make to being our best, and that is what it takes. So we've talked a lot about business success and things that support us and the journey that we've been on and some of the challenges. But of course, there's other areas of life too that we touch on. I know in The Awakened Man, we also touch on things like relationships. So to switch gears slightly, let's talk about that. And let's talk about how your previous experiences in relationship helped you understand the challenges that guys have and perhaps contributed to how you coach guys through that. Could you comment on what you, Pete, think contributes to perhaps many men out there having quite unsatisfying experiences in relationships? Why do you think
Yeah,
that is?
a lot of men settle. A lot of men will settle for low expectations, and a lot of guys are scared of the pain. So if they are in a mundane, on average, mediocre relationship, and that, by the way, guys, is fucking normal. Like it is not normal to have an exceptional, like astonishing love relationship. You don't see that too often. And it takes work to get there. It takes real work to get there, but not just on the relationship, but also on the man. For the man to really, really understand what he wants from life and where he's going. If he is directionless, so will his relationship will be directionless too. Like if he has no vision, then where's that relationship going to go? If he is not clear on his values, then how can you be clear on your values as a couple? If he doesn't fucking know what he wants, how can he, like, how will his wife or his partner know? And how will she then be able to tend to that? Doesn't tell her, hey, like, this is what I need, not just what I want. This is what I need for my relationship. Most men aren't fucking clear on that. Or they feel it deep down, but they never express it. They're never truly honest with what they really, really need from a relationship. Right. And of course it's both ways. Like your woman or your man needs to express the same. This is exactly what I need from a relationship and from us as a partnership. Most men don't assert that. And that's the next thing is assertiveness and is boundaries. It's it's a critical component for a relationship to be able to thrive, is that you are well boundaried as a man. If you are not, you will be walked over. And the thing is, you'll take it and take it and take it, and then resentment comes in, and then anger comes in, right? And you suppress it, and then every now and again it will fucking come out like a ball of flames. And you'll hurt the people that you love because you're not boundaried and you've been walked over and you've resented all this shit that you keep having to deal with. And so many guys will fall into victim mode and fall into why me? I'm not the one at fault here. But here's the thing. And this is fucking hard to grasp as well. This is difficult for any man to take on, is to take on 100% responsibility. Whether you believe it's your fault or not, you take 100% responsibility for everything that happens in your life and your relationship. Like that's a powerful place to be as a man. It's difficult. It's extremely difficult. It's very, very hard to do so. But the victim mentality goes out and you start taking a stance of ownership. Even when shit does hit the fan, you own that fucking shit. You don't go into complain mode. You don't go into rant mode and victim mode. It's no, I'm gonna fucking own this. And I'm gonna step up as the masculine in this relationship and I will lead.
Mm. You see, this is pretty interesting to me. Certainly referencing Robert Glover, who you previously alluded to, and I know he's spoken at your events and is a friend of the project's. Now, in his pivotal book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, he talks about these problems that many of us, transparency, I've struggled with this a lot. I've struggled with this a lot. People who watch my channel and who followed my journey, and indeed, there's a part of the internet where I journal every day, and there's almost 500,000 people who have read this. And you can see a lot of these in my journaling, difficulties with boundaries, having to learn all of this, having to learn how to assert myself, having to learn that this it's okay for me to also want to be treated a certain way and with respect. And it was a multiple year journey of building those boundaries and getting burned again and again for those sorts of behaviors. In Dr. Glover's book, he will talk about a previous version of him where he was also struggling and having difficulties in his relationships, and found that his tendencies to be agreeable and his tendencies to not to assert but to almost placate to women he was dating actually put a lot of them off, drove them away. And the more he evaluated this, he seems to have found that this is quite repellent. Now, tying in with previous your comment there about taking ownership and taking responsibility for all outcomes in your relationship and in your life, that's a point in which you can start to build more rigidity in your masculinity, and you can start to go into your masculine core more. Because when you have complete ownership, and when it is on you to figure it out, jump out the airplane with no parachute, build an airplane while soaring through the air, then we are very resourceful as men, and we can put the pieces of the puzzle together. And in my own journey, I found that similarly with what you comment on there, when I did begin to take full ownership and stop feeling bad for some of my previous outcomes and stop ranting and raving, which I was, my friends have been very patient with me over the years. I was pretty bad about that at one point, and just commit myself to doing the work. Because if you're not happy with your relationships, there is a lot you can do about it.
This is the thing, right? You've been through the ring. You've been punched in the face, you've been knocked down, and you got back up again. And you learn your lessons. As long this is the next thing that I want to highlight. As long as you do fucking learn. Because if you make the same mistake twice, then that's on you, right? But if you make a mistake, you hit a failing point, and then you assess that. You go, hey, hang on a minute. This relationship fucked up. It didn't go the way I planned. I've now come out hurt. What actually went wrong? Like, where did I mess up? Let's just forget about her for a minute, right? Or him. Where did I mess up? Where didn't I show up as the way I wanted to? And where didn't I assert my needs and so on? And really, really evaluate your part in that relationship to then fucking learn from that. It's like Robert Glover in his book. And some dude said to me a while back when I was talking about Robert Glover, he's like, yeah, but the guy's been divorced 2 times or 3 times. And he's wrote a book on like how to be in great relationships, but he's been divorced 3 times. I was like, shut up, mate. He's been through the ringer. He's been through the pain. He's in a great position to be able to assess all the fuck ups and and then be able to write a book on that and teach thousands and thousands of guys, hey guys, here's how I fucked up so many times. Here's all the lessons. Don't go and do what I did. What you have to go through it. You have got to go through the pain to then learn the lessons. It's the same with me. Everything that I'm talking about today, I'm not sitting on my high horse going, I'm so fucking, I've been through it all. Like all my lessons are only because I've been through the pain of, growing a business and it going up and down and up and down, going through broken relationships, right? You learn your lessons from doing it, but as long as you learn and you don't make the same mistakes going into the next business or the next relationship or the next health kick that you're going to start.
Now, going through the ringer is part of the game. It's part of the journey. And there's some who'll say, and I'd like your thoughts on this, but there's some who'll say to become a man and to really own your masculinity and go into your masculine core, there's a certain amount of pain that is required for one to endure. I've heard it quite eloquently put that a man is forged in the fire and the flames. And when I read,
let's think about back in the day, back into the tribal times. Even now, actually, like in some like the Amazon jungle and our ancestors there, that when their boys when they're young boys are come of a certain age, they will put them through trials, hard trials. There's certain regions where they will have to go out and kill a tiger, right? That happens where they go out, young boys, and they have to go and kill a wild animal. And it's like the path of going through, like, from boy to man. And in like the modern, in our West, and I'm not saying going out and killing a tiger is right, by the way, but in our modern world, in our Western world, there's no real like, here's the transition from boy to man. You go to school, you go to college, you might go to uni, you then get a job, you then get stuck into your whatever that job looks like, you then get a house, you then get a mortgage. It's very, very easy just to fall into that. And especially if you haven't grown up around like masculine role models, it's hard to, most men don't have that transition from boy to man. So they can, and hey, and I was fucking one of them. So that's how I can talk to it. Is that you can go through your 20s into your late 20s into your early 30s and still just be a grown-up boy. You're just like a grown-up child, right? Still acting the same way a child does.
yeah, goodness. Yeah, I mean, this is a cultural moment that we find ourselves in, right? Where if we're to look out into the horizon, I mean, at the event, I was chatting to Yazin, and he had some very interesting things to say about like the nature of masculinity and the status of masculinity today and where we are as men. And one thing that is honestly disturbed me and why I think the work that you do is extremely important and is necessary, truly necessary, and completely advise folks to look into the stuff that Pete, Yazin, and Ben do and get involved. But the lack of a community and ability for us to organize as tribes of men, because we are a tribal animal. That is part of us. If you look at, as you're just alluding to there, Pete, around the rituals and ceremonies, the ancestral wisdom that we do have as an organism, and man is an animal too. We are also part of nature. People forget this, right? And we also, part of us knows we have to endure trials and tribulations to realize our potential and to actually become men and to become masculine men. And part of that does involve some suffering. A quote that I quite enjoy from Elon Musk commenting on his journey of getting to where he is that entrepreneurship is like eating glass whilst staring into the abyss. Like getting somewhere in life, mate, part of it sucks, actually. Part of it is hard ass work, yeah? And we all go through it. We all have to get up every day and do these things, But on the subject of rituals and masculinity and the process of forging that. Like, I had to go through that hardcore. When I worked with my coach, and a fantastic coach, as I often talk about, Andy, we went on like a 1.5 year, like intensive, all in journey, like all in. And I'd never known there were levels of pain like this. It's beyond anything I ever experienced. Like if I was to rate it, I'd say some of it was like a 14 out of 10. I almost couldn't bear it. Um, it was an intensive self-improvement project, but if you look at the outcomes, I lost 40 kilograms at 7 stone. I went from very, very, very anxious to, I talk to people all the time. I have a lot of social freedom. I can just do what I want. I don't have all this anxiety and stuff now. Across every metric, we just achieved and achieved and achieved. I got promotions in my job. I started traveling the world, and I set up my business. And now I'm forging my own path. But there was suffering involved in this. Let me tell you, there was many mental breakdowns. There was so much pain and dark nights of the soul. But importantly, I had a community. I had people around me. I had my coach, I had my brothers, and we're close and we genuinely love each other and we help each other, Because I had these systems, I was able to get past this. And this is why I think that the stuff that you're doing is very important, because you have the same. There's yourself. You have the leadership there, and you offer community, and you're taking men on a journey. So the question I have for you is the journey of being your best self. Do you have to suffer to be great? What does Pete think?
Yeah, I think you do. Only because that's all I've ever known. And then I think that if you look back in the past, you look back all the way to Julius Caesar, and you look back to Marcus Aurelius, that like some of the greatest leaders in the world, and they suffered. They immensely suffered. There was mass suffering for them and mass torture. Yet these were some of the greatest minds ever to live. And I think if it just gets handed to you on a plate, there's no real appreciation for greatness. And I believe that if you've got no real appreciation for that, then it won't mean anything to you.
This is it. It's like it takes pressure to form a diamond, and there is a certain amount of suck that we embrace. But for the wins, when you start to see results, and when you start, yourself when you're starting to make movements in the world. And I had moments myself where, one thing I'll share with you, Pete. There was a past for me where I was obese, housebound, agoraphobic, never been on a date, was just so low self-esteem, just very, very fucked up. Health problems out the ass. It was a virtually impossible situation. But there was something. I still had something inside that had always been there since I was a kid. That no, I need to be better than this. I know I can achieve something. I know I can be someone in this world. I just need to find something inside me. And I embarked on like 2-3 years just fixing myself, like obsessively, like breath work, yoga, meditation, like consuming a lot of really powerful content. I listened to my coach Andy like for hours a day, just getting up at 5 and walking around and trying to absorb some of the things he has to say. And then that did catapult me into action. And then I started to take baby steps, started to actually work with him, and then got results. It was a multiple year journey. But then after working hard and applying myself for a really, really long time, like day in, day out, journaling every day, publicly sharing all this, thousands of people reading it. When I started to finally win, I remember when I moved to London, left the West Midlands where I was, working as a project manager and then starting to get ahead. And I remember that drive down and just thinking to myself how far I'd come, all the things I'd conquered, all the things I've beaten, what should have been impossible, like the litany of problems, like systematically beating everything. I just remember like bawling my eyes out in that as I drove down, just thinking to myself, like, can't believe I even got here. Like, just to get here is a fucking miracle. Just to be able to fight for a better life and realize my human potential, it means so much to me, because I started from a place that is so much lower than most human beings have any concept for, right? But that is what gives me my drive. That is what gets me up early. That is what pushes me, and that's why I'm consistent and put in the work that I do.
Yeah, good on
So,
you, man. That's inspiring shit, and you're inspiring many others to go and do the same. It's the best fucking work that you'll ever do. It's to work on yourself, right? It's to heal yourself, and then to help others heal too.
it is indeed, you know, you. I feel like we feel a calling to be our best selves, and part of us knows. Like, I could have stayed a project manager. I was good at it. I could have stayed there and whatnot. Equally with yourself, right? With the business, but part of us knows that there is more, and we are playing small. Um, and then we go on the hero's journey to get to the other side of that.
Yeah, well, it's fear, isn't it? It's always fucking fear. It's internal fear. It's holding us back from playing the bigger game and playing the power moves. Right. And you know, those fears can, and absolutely, by the way, and more often than not, can be caused by like prehistoric trauma, shit that's come up in our life that at some stage has traumatized us, and then that trauma has then formed some form of belief, which ultimately is a fear, and then those fears will then dictate our lives, and the kind of the next ring down is they will dictate our actions, and then there's three routes. There's either no action, or there is the right action, or there is the wrong action. And our internal beliefs, internal fears, they dictate that. So it's why I am a big advocate of delving in and working on belief work, because if you can crack that code and piece things together and go, fuck me, that's the way. That's why I do that. Like, I know, like, when I was 24 years old, I lost my best mate in a car accident. He died. We spoke every fucking day for 10 years. We were like, he was like my brother. Like, he was part of my family. It was just everything. I loved him so much. I didn't like, we would tell each other that we loved each other, and that was quite weird because we were lads back in the day, right? That wasn't a lad thing to do. We were like, oh, fucking love you, mate. Yeah, and we fucking meant it. And when he disappeared from this earth, that traumatized me like God's end. And off the back of that, it was only after really doing like deep work on myself that I could see how that was then affecting my relationships in my business. Is that because I didn't want to be left again, because I didn't want to go through that fucking pain of someone leaving me again, I would hold on to relationships that didn't serve me. And maybe I wouldn't have the hard conversations that I should have fucking had, because I was worried and scared that I might upset them and then they would leave me, just like Danny did all those years ago. He left me, and that's what I felt like. He left me and I felt abandoned. And so then, you know, not just in business relationships, but then in personal relationships, like in friendships and in intimate relationships, I would act in weird ways that I wouldn't see as weird, because remember, the fear, my abandonment fear, is dictating my life. It is controlling my life, but it's so subconscious. It's so deep rooted in my subconscious that I don't realize that my actions are pushing people away, or I'm keeping people real fucking close to me because I don't want to go through the pain of losing people. Right? That's fucked up. But many people go through that. But it was a time that when I was doing the real internal work on myself that I started to piece these things together. Okay, that's why I act that way. And I know that's not right. Like, me not having difficult or tough conversations with a loved one or a business partner because I'm scared they're going to leave me isn't logical. that is not logical. They're not going to leave me because I'm going to have a difficult conversation around something to do with a profit margin in a business, right? They're not going to leave me over that. But in my mind, I was scared. So that's why it's so fucking important to do the work and to figure out where these past beliefs and traumas and inner resistance come from. Because it's only, Steve Jobs said this, it's only looking back where you can start to link the dots, right? It's like, piece by piece by piece. Okay, now I can see how that works. Now I can see that's the way I act. That's the reason I act that way. And is that logical or illogical? And now I can make a decision on moving forward without my emotions getting involved.
And that is where we have to introduce the massive importance of the internal world and our psychology into our development as men, and become aware of how important this is. Because there's some who'll tell you that you will essentially get what you subconsciously believe you deserve. And as we know from Carl Jung, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate.
It will. It fucking absolutely. I love that quote. I feel like getting that quote tattooed on me. I've been reading that one for years. But here's the fucking next thing, is that, and I see this a lot with guys, and I see this in myself many, many years ago, and now I see it with other guys, and I'm like, fucking stop doing this. Is that we can live in our existing trauma. We can live in it, and then we can blame it. That's the reason, and ultimately it's just victimhood. Oh, fuck me there. Yeah, that is the reason that I'm not where I want to be. That's the reason that my business isn't successful as to the heights that I know it can get to, or my relationships keep failing. But the more that we live in that trauma, and we just blame that fucking trauma, and that's not taking ownership. Like, we have to, acknowledge it, be aware of it, take it from a level 99 down to a level 50, down to a level 30. And then fucking get over that shit and move on and take the action to press forward and grow, not stay in that trauma.
That's it. It's almost like, to get slightly more spiritual and metaphysical for a moment, but not at a level where anyone may be uncomfortable with this. But I think we know as people, where we've been hurt and we've been wounded in those areas of our life, for myself, when it comes to relationships, there was a lot of wounding there, huge amounts, right? A huge amount of hurt there. And that meant that I persistently had a tendency to slip into victimhood, a tendency to think, well, look, this is not looking like it's going to work out for me. This is just the way it is. This is how it's going to go for me. This is probably the shit that I'm likely to get, so I'll accept it. I'll just, work with it and whatnot. And over time, unpacking this, peeling it back, I began to realize that this is a byproduct of certain needs in my life that weren't met, that certain presence, certain kind of investment in myself perhaps wasn't there, and that led to this wounding. Now, rather than saying to myself, well, Ravi, you know what, this is going to be a mountain to climb, I decided to just persist anyway, and to do the work. And where in areas where we do have trauma, that work can be uncomfortable. It can be very painful. And also, I think, to be transparent, one of the things that I had to confront. So a lot of this was because I sucked. Yeah, it was my own failings. It was how I would communicate, my agreeableness, my inability to have boundaries, my inability to risk offending.
See that there, what you just said there, I think is a fucking really important point, right? That your last 10 seconds, your inability to assert boundaries, your worriedness about offending people, right? Your inability to assert anything that you fucking want. So many men will go through life feeling exactly that way, right? But here's the thing, and this goes back to the very start of the podcast when I said this is not about the what or the how. This is all about the fucking who. So in every moment to moment, Who am I being? Am I being that mediocre man, that weak man who does have no fucking boundaries, who is worried about what other people fucking think about him, right? Who is worried about offending him? Or am I being that man who I would fucking listen to? The guy that is strong, grounded, conscious, assertive, well boundaried, fucking powerful. Like the guy's a steam train, right? Am I being that man? And what decision is he making? And it's just, and then the thing is, though, you think about that moment to moment. Am I being this man or this man? You win if you just like. It's a very simple concept. Any moment, am I being fucking the weak man or the powerful man over here? And you make your decisions based on that moment to moment. Okay, powerful man decision, powerful man decision, powerful. You keep fucking going. And I'm telling you, you do that, you do that consistently. There's like, that's the fucking guys, that's the secret to the game. That literally is. That's the code cracked. You win doing that.
You give yourself permission to go for these things in life. Yeah. Because the only person who can truly limit us is ourselves. Yeah. There's no rule that someone's made out there that I can't go build a brand, that I can't build a thriving business. And I don't, in business, I simply don't accept that. Like in career, no part of me would have accepted mediocrity. When there's promotions available, I saw it as my fucking right. Like, of course, there's no one who's going to get that other than me. You know? That was just how I had none of these limiting things around that. I was very aggressive and assertive in um, putting myself in a position to succeed. And the same, honestly, I feel the same way with business. I genuinely believe in my ability to succeed there. Truly, I do, and that means I'm ballsy and I'm going to just keep persisting. And this is good. But the other areas that I need to work on, this is what applies because. Like many of us around there, you know, we can pick up our traumas, we can pick up our limiting beliefs, but we still have autonomy and agency, and we can lean in and choose to be winners, choose to embody beliefs and mindsets that enable us to go
So
act.
here's a tool, right? Where autonomy kicks in and like existing bad habits kick in. And you might fall back into making those bad decisions or not stepping into being boundaried or having a hard conversation. I bring the hard conversations up. It's just an easy one. It's a really easy one that so many people will not do. Is that you give yourself a set of rules. So, for example, and these rules don't have to be extensive, and you should do this. You should really fucking think hard and spend time thinking and writing here on your life. And where in your life do you fuck up? Or second thing here, where in your life do you live in regret? It's very easy now, right? Where do we fuck up? Where do we live in regret? So let's go back this morning or yesterday morning to the potential of me not going to the gym. I would have regretted that if I didn't go to the gym. It's a small thing. I would have regretted it. And when I live in regret, I know something's fucked up and something needs to change. So I create a rule for that scenario. It's a if this, then that. So if it's a frequent thing, so let's just say the gym thing comes up 3, 4, 5 times a week, that's a frequent fucking thing. I need to fix it. So if my brain says, Pete, stay in bed, don't go to the gym, I will immediately jump out of bed. It's just a rule. I've just created a rule. And I like to do this. I'll have 3 or 4 rules going at any one time to what I need to work on in my life. If a difficult conversation in business comes up and Pete is scared to have the conversation, I will book the conversation in and write down what I want to say. That's my rule. That's the fucking rule. I can't break. And if I break the rule, I'm breaking my own internal promises. I'm breaking my own fucking character as a man. And I am not stepping into the man that I know that I can be and who my son will be proud to call his dad. Because I'm breaking rules that I've made up. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does.
So anything that you regret, and if it keeps appearing 3, 4, 5 times a week, this is something you should work on and create a rule for that.
Yeah, this I think is where we have to actually be very mindful of ourselves and be objective in ourselves. And this is where other men are very, very valuable. Yeah. So checking in with other men who can give you honest feedback on things and have those honest conversations. A great place where people can find these is Pete's community. You can go there and connect with other men and find people who can hold you accountable. And I myself also found this in my life. And the men I have connections with, we have a small group. We decided it's just going to be us. We're going to join. We're going to partner up. We have different skills, different competencies, and we're just going to rise to success together. And we're going to be radically honest, and we're going to be very determined, and we're going to push each other very, very hard. And we're going to pull no punches, and we will succeed. And in that group environment, we'll have like a monthly call. There's a lot of truth telling, and the fire will come if there's things that we've been ignoring, if the metrics aren't being hit, if people are missing the gym, if people aren't doing their outreach, if things aren't happening, then we'll uncover that. But as you say, Pete, when we can have the awareness to unpack that, evaluate it, and place a rule in place that I'm going to now tackle this. We need this because I don't think us as humans are very good with complexity. I don't think we're good at managing all the different areas of life. We need to have focus, have commitment, and put that front and center. And that was a big thing that I think we affirmed in the event recently around the things that we're ignoring, the unmade decisions, how we can go all in and make a firmer commitment to those things, because that is ultimately what gets results. Focus. Right? So the next question I have for you, we're going to do a hypothetical example here. I'm going to give you a hypothetical example of Bob. Bob is a man who is 34. He is an entrepreneur. He runs a business, and he goes through cycles of famine and feast, as many who haven't figured the game out just yet do. Bob, in his months where he does well, feels good about himself, feels as if there is a future that has brighter possibilities and vistas. But in the months where it's not quite working, questions whether he's actually cut out for entrepreneurship and whether he even has what it takes to be successful and to be the man he wants to be. He's in maybe not the best mental state, and even looking at him physically doesn't suggest that he's really on top of his game. But he's come to you, Pete, for advice. He's willing to do the work, and he is dedicated, and he understands there's not going to be any overnight fixes. He's willing to commit for a year or two. What do you say to him?
Yeah. Number one, I say to him, Bob, you need to pay me some money. Because if I tell you this bit of advice, then you haven't paid me any money, there's a high likelihood that you won't really listen and you won't really do the work. Very, very high likelihood. There's a much, much higher likelihood that if you put your money where your mouth is, you're going to go ahead and do the work. Right? So that's number one. Number two is get a coach, get a consultant, get a mentor, but someone that's actually been there and done it, not someone that's just read a book, right? And has seen a framework in a book and is going to get you to copy that. No, someone who's been through the ringer, someone who has achieved what you, Bob, want to achieve. Get them on your side and pay them to help you. The second thing, or the third thing here is when they give you a framework and a route, a method to follow, fucking follow it. Do what they say. You it's fine to challenge and to question, to maybe understand a couple of concepts, but don't try and reinvent the wheel or think that you know a better route, because if you are where you are, you probably don't know the better route. Follow exactly what they tell you to do to the fucking T. The next thing is, and this is a big one that entrepreneurs go through, is that they validate themselves on the money that they make. So one month when Bob has a great month, he does 150K. He's had a fucking great month. He feels amazing. He's just done 150K this month. But the next month, he's then done 75. He's still a great month, but he's torturing himself because he's just done 75K. He's validating himself on the money. Don't validate yourself on the money. You validate yourself on your capability to carry out actions over and over and over, even when the money's not coming in, but you are still carrying out the actions that you know are proven to work because you've employed the person who's been there and done it and has proven that it works. You keep fucking going over and over and over and over. But this is what happens more often than not with guys like Bob, is that they'll have a good month and then it maybe dip the second month and then they'll fall off and not do all the actions. Maybe they'll just do 50% of them because they're now starting to question whether it's going to work or not. And there lies the problem, right? Don't validate yourself on the money. Validate yourself on your capability to carry out the daily actions, the blueprint, the framework to follow, day in, day out, day in, day out. Even when shit is hitting the fan, you still turn up and do it and do the work. Most people don't. Most people think that they do. But if I was to truly assess the situation and be the bird's eye view and watch what's happening every single day, it's probably likely that they're not doing everything that they're being told to do. Final thing that I would tell Bob, if Bob is not in good physical shape, I get him up the gym and I get him eating well. And it just goes back to the who again. Who are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to, is Bob the overweight with man boobs, right? Is that a great leader to listen to? Like to aspire to not just for yourself, but for your team? I don't think so. And so get yourself in great physical condition. It's one of the best things that you can do for yourself, like mentally, let alone physically. To look good, you look good, you feel good. I can fucking tell you. And to get in, this is the next thing. When I see a fucking other guy, right? I'm in good shape. I know I'm in good shape. I'm in good shape for fucking years. I just don't fucking miss when it comes to the gym and when it comes to my eating. I've been on it and I've always been on it for probably over 10 years. When I see other men that are in good condition, I'll fucking give them a nod. I'm like, I know that man has discipline. I know that he's putting in some serious work, like in his eating, in his habits, in his training to get into that position. I wonder where else he's being successful. Wonder where, if he's doing it well there, it's likely he's doing it well in other places. Fair play to him. So that's the next thing for Bob. Get in good shape.
I firmly agree. I think this is actually a really interesting point to touch on a little bit more, actually, because anyone who follows you knows that, yes, you are in fantastic shape. You've been in shape for many, many years. Your lifestyle is one of discipline, focus, and application across these different domains. Right? You're training really hard. You are working very hard in business, and also you're leading a community. So there's a lot going on. But it seems to me that when I'm watching your stuff, physical training is a really big piece for you. It seems like for yourself, Pete, is that something that you believe contributes powerfully to our growth as men?
Yeah, 100%. I work on 4 areas. my work, so my business, my energy, right? So my physical, my mental states, my energy, my love, so my friends and my family, and my masculinity, right? How am I showing up as a man? And if I'm clearing those 4 areas every day, I'm winning the day, every fucking day. And I always start with the energy. I always start with the physical. I'm not leaving it to the end of the day where my willpower is lower because I've made so many decisions that day and yada, yada, yada. There's a likelihood that I might go, oh, it'll be easier if I just do more training tomorrow. Maybe I'll have a day off today. I don't want to risk that. I know what my brain will tell me to do. So I get the training in early. I get it in every time and I make sure it's hard, make sure I push myself. It's and also like, and you know this, when you go to the gym, when have you ever regretted a workout? You always come out feeling fucking great. I like to start the day feeling fucking great. Like I don't wake up happy. Like I don't wake up with this massive smile on my face. Yes, like that's just it's not human nature to do that. I don't think anyone wakes up with a big smile on their face. No one does. But so what do we need? We need to change the state. We need to like, well, let's just get that smile on our face. Let's just do the work. Right. And I see training as one of those outlets.
Let's dive a little bit more into your routine, your practices, Pete, to help us understand how you approach achievement and what your lifestyle looks like, so it can be a bit more tangible for folks. You're in the gym pretty early. Is that the first thing you do? And you're getting up at around 5:30. Could you talk us through a day of yours?
Yeah, I'm getting up around 5:30. Sometimes it might be 5. Now that in the UK, it's getting lighter a lot earlier. And like my body clock is automatically waking up earlier, and I let it do that. I'm like, great, fine. I'm awake. I'm gonna get out of bed. The first thing I'll do is I'll go and hydrate, massively hydrate, drink a lot of water, get some electrolytes in my body, and I'll get straight outside, try and get some sunlight, try and get a bit of nature. Right, get some air. I want to wake up. I'm not sitting in like a dark and gloomy house. I want my state to immediately be elevated from being asleep. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is that I will go and do some work. I don't train immediately. I don't train straight away. Like I'll go and get 45 minutes to an hour of deep work done. Like this is solid work. This is a good, like I have a 2.5-year-old. I've got a baby boy, right? And when he wakes up, like it's difficult to do deep work when Leo's around. And to be honest, like I like spending that time in the morning with him anyway, like when he's up. Okay. So I get that done quick, and it's quick, it's effective, and I'm moving the needle before most people are even awake. Then I'm hitting the gym. I'm getting a solid fucking workout in. I'm normally listening to something at the same time, normally listening to some form of podcast or one of my coaching calls, whatever that looks like. I'm listening to something that's going to elevate my state, and I'm going to learn. After that, play with the kids, see the family, take Leo to nursery. I'm back and I'm straight into work. I'm straight into business. Like my day is already been planned. I planned the day the night before, or I've planned it on the weekend, right? I know exactly what needs to happen. I know when it needs to happen, and I'm straight into deeper work, right? I don't have meetings until after lunch. Like I like to keep that space before lunch as this is my time to do creative work, or to do deeper work, or to do strategic work, whatever that looks like, to grow the business and to grow the brand. After lunch, I'll then go into, if I've got meetings, whether that's with teams, or that's whether it's clients, or it's with potential people that want to come and join our programs, whatever that looks like. I'm then doing meetings after lunch. If I'm not doing meetings, I'm doing more work. Like, and the way I work is I'll block it. So I'm focused. You know, the phone is on do not disturb. Everything is on do not disturb. I'm blocked. I'm focused. I'm getting shit done. And that's that. It's as simple as that. There's nothing more crazy than that. I'll make sure I get out every hour and a half, get a bit of fresh air, come back in. If I'm feeling a little bit drowsy, I'll do some press ups. Well, I'll do 40 or 50 press ups just to get the body pumped again and get me elevated, and then I go back into work.
This is it. You see, success leaves clues. There is, yeah, we set days up to allow us to win. You understand that you get the needle moving activity done and dusted. You eat the frog. You go into the activities that you know yourself are gonna really rejuvenate you. You get your training in. You spend time with your son. You have that love and connection, and then you do the activities that move your business forward and drive your life forward and enable you to be the best version of yourself. And I think what's always interesting for me when I interview people and try to learn a little bit more about how they think, I like to ask questions about um, people's key beliefs, right? So with the 80-20 principle, you can have a few key ideas that can take you 80% of the way. I know for myself, it was different mentalities that I ingrained into myself. That one was that I do deserve success, and if I do the work, then I can also attain good things. Another one was learning to think in more abundant terms. So getting out of a lot of fear and scarcity and seeing the world as a place where if you take the right actions and you course correct, you can obtain results. I'd like to know for yourself, Pete, what are just some core beliefs that you have about the world that help you?
Yeah. The world is fucking abundant. It's always been abundant. And it always will be. There's so much wealth there. You can have absolutely anything you want if you really fucking want it. And this is the thing, when I want something, when I desire something, when I'm like, hey, I want to go and do that thing, or I want that watch or that car, I'm just going to go and get it. It's my right to go and get that. And if I don't go and get it, then that will sabotage me. And that's the way I think. All right. If I want something, like right now, I've got my eyes on a new car. I've just seen it last week. I'm like, I want that, and I'm gonna go and get it. And that's it. I'm just gonna go and get that. Whatever means I need to go through, I will get it. And that's the way I think.
Hmm. And it's empowering to just hear people speak in these terms that you can go get it. What I hear there is that there is a lot out there that we can get. We don't have to suffer. We don't have to sit retracted. We don't have to accept things. If we're not fucking happy with the way things are going, we're not happy in different domains of our life, that we don't have to play small. That was one of the really empowering things that I took. Took a bunch of notes from the event that I attended. And at the top of my list was, we can think bigger and we can go for bigger and we can get bigger wins. There is nothing really stopping us other than going out there, doing the work. And yeah, you can incrementally build yourself up, but it is also there for anyone to go get it. And I think the difference really is that you start from where you are, but if you're consistent and you do the reps and do the reps and do the reps, then you can get there. So I think, having explored quite a lot there, Pete, I think a question I want to ask is, and this is another one that I like. We mentioned a few people in podcast today. You made reference to Dr. Robert Glover, but I'd like to ask you, Pete, who inspires you? Who do you perhaps like to emulate? Who do you admire? Let us know a little bit more.
Mm. Yeah. Do you know there isn't like, I don't have like oh, I want to be the next Jeff Bezos. Like, I don't really have that. They're particular guys that I might like read their work. A guy called Tony Hsieh, who wrote the book Delivering Happiness. Like, I fucking absolutely admire him and his work. Like he unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, but his book Delivering Happiness like molded some of my own internal core values for the way I run businesses and the way I coach businesses. Absolutely, like he would be like, if I could go dinner with someone, it would be him. So yeah, there's not really loads of guys that I listen to. At the moment, like I will go through. Do you know what? I do like, I'm a huge fan of Andy Frisella, who runs a podcast called the MF CEO. I think that's what it's still called. I used to listen to that like 8 years ago when I was first starting out in entrepreneurship. And I love the way he talked there. It was straight up, no bullshit. You know, the guy's worth, I think, like 4 billion now, something like that. He wasn't then when I first started listening. He was worth a lot of money then, but not to that level. And I like that intensity. I like to think that I'm quite an intense person, and when I listen to guys like him, I'm like, fucking hell, there's fucking levels to this intensity, and I want some more of that. So yeah, Andy Frisella definitely is a guy that I will come back to over and over and over again when I need I need to fucking think bigger. Let me listen to someone who's playing at a real high level.
Beautiful. That doesn't really surprise me, Pete. Having met you, spent some time with you, I can see the fire. I can see and that can be when you hear certain statements from a man like yourself, it can resonate quite a lot. You feel the intensity. It does leave an impression. You definitely have that ability within you. So I'm not surprised to hear that you resonate very highly with this. Now, I want to talk about the Waking Man project, and I want us to explore this. The first question I'm going to ask is talk, talk to us about the Awaken Man project, how people can get involved, and then I'd actually like to learn about your vision for it and where you want it to be in 10 years.
The Awaken Man project. This is a special project. It's a business. It's a wonderful business. We are literally helping guys just like me who wanted more out of life, who knew that they were just at level 3, level 4 on their potential scale. Who knew there was fucking loads more to life, and that if one day that they got to their deathbed, they would be in regret. They would be like, do you know what? I haven't got to where I wanted to get to unless something changes. And so that we started this project. It started off with 20 men behind the scenes where we tested a method that was a mixture of like psychotherapy, coaching, and mentoring from Yazine, who has built a 9-figure business and is a very wise man. And the idea is that guys could come in and could learn from his wisdom, but also be able to get help from us on understanding their own emotions, being able to unpack the way they think, and being able to really comprehend how their psychology works, right? And this is what we found, is that once the unpacking begins, decades of latent potential comes to the surface. And these guys playing at level 2 and 3, they rise up to levels 8 and 9, and then they readjust, and then they realize that there's fucking more to this game. There is levels to this game, and that they're now ready for the next hero's journey, and they'll take that with us. Our program is very intensive. It is not for the light-hearted. We don't want light-hearted men. We want the guys that want to play full out and are ready to make a commitment. It's a years-long program, and it's every day. And that's intensive. But for us, it's Can you imagine spending 1 hour a day, every day for an entire year, working on your personal growth and learning from guys that have achieved greatness and really, really tapping into how your mind works every fucking day? It's inevitable that you will get like astronomical growth. It's fucking inevitable. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether you're running a 6-figure business, 7-figure business, an 8-figure business, or whether you're in a corporate career, or whether you're just starting out and thinking, I want to go from corporate and I want to start my own business. It doesn't matter where you are. Like, you come and join that and you are intoxicated by it and you fucking elevate every level. Not just in business, not just in your wealth. You know, we focus hugely. There's a massive element to business, but we're not in there teaching systems and frameworks and methods. It's not about that. It's about leveling up, and your health gets better. You know, there's some of the guys who've come and joined, and they're the fittest they've ever been. And you know, we've literally just this week booked to go and do the trifecta Spartan race in Sparta, Greece, and we're taking all the guys, right? But that'd be a challenge for me, right? That's a fucking tough fate to go and do that. But we're all going to push ourselves through it. We're all going to go through the training. We've got 4 months worth of training to go and complete one of the toughest challenges in the world. And that's interesting. This interesting shit. Like, that's fucking attractive, right? For not just to attract women, but to attract other men that are playing at a higher level and that you want to be around. If you're doing interesting shit, that's cool. Like, I want to know. I'm like, fucking, that's cool. Come in, like, let's spend more time with each other because you're doing some interesting shit. And the more interesting life you lead, the more stories you've got to tell.
This is it. It's like success is a team sport. Like, us as men, we can go so much further together. Like, with brotherhood, with companionship, with friendship, with coaches, with mentors, we can go so much further. Like, I know where I was before I started working with my own coach. I remember how I used to think. I remember the outcomes that I got. I was good in some areas. I was definitely good in some areas, but there's a lot, right? So, as you allude to, yes, there's business, but there's so much more beyond that as well. There's a lot of potential in us as humans, and it absolutely has been my experience. It's documented. We've proven this with thousands of guys. When there's the right environment and there is that aspect of people working on their vision and being honest and authentic and applying themselves and aligning with certain universal principles, like the power of the group, like the power of coaching and mentoring. And when there are other inspired individuals who you can look up to, who you can get energy from, right? You're going to really start to take off and get really great outcomes going for yourself. And at that point, you have momentum. There's a lot of value people can get from connecting with other men who have the same goals as them. That's one of the biggest things for me. I just try to find other really driven men who've got the same goals as me, because we will find ways to add value to each other's lives. Believe me, having been to your event, Pete, myself, like, people were really cool. Like, I can easily get on with people like that. Even, I'm still talking with plenty of guys from there, and it's just a natural fit for people who are ambitious and want to be the best version of themselves. So credit to yourself, Yazina, Ben. You've obviously created something very interesting, and you've created a fantastic culture. And another thing I will just touch on it is, again, like, you put your money where your mouth is. You commit. You guys are demonstrating this. You're walking the walk. You're committing to stretching yourselves further and further. You're going to Sparta. I mean, this is cool, and this is what makes the difference, right? These are the things that, when we are at the end of life and we're on a deathbed and we think, "Fuck me, this was a wild ride." That's really what you want. You want to put the systems in place. You want to make the commitment now, so we can really stretch and we can gather as much of these fantastic experiences that we can and obtain the growth that we're looking for so we can get the most out of this life, because it seems to me a crying shame that there's so many out there who could be so much more, but rather than making the commitment, live in comfort. Does it make sense to me? I don't think it makes sense to you either, Pete. That's probably why we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
Okay, so Pete, could you let us know how people could get involved with you, how people can come to your events? Let us know how folks watching this can connect.
Yeah, best place is my Instagram. It's at Pete_Taylor. Simple, Pete_Taylor. Look me up on Instagram. It's got a link there straight to the Awakened Man. It's got a link to all the work that I do. The Awakened Man Project is on Instagram as well. It is at the Awakened Man Project. And that's probably the best place to go. We have a website, awakenman.org. All the information is on there. All the upcoming events. We're doing an adventure retreat in Crete in September. I think it's the 20th. We're going. That's the next in person. That is a 5-day adventure. So yeah, look us up. You want to get involved? We've got plenty of programs to suit every like financial need, whether that's a low tier or a high tier. We've got it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Pete. This is the stuff we love around here. We love human potential. We love growth. We love going for our goals and objectives, because anyone can make it. If you have determination, you have drive, that's all you really need. All you really need is the ability to draw one more breath of air. If you can do that, you can get up, you can start going out there and moving and shaking. And once you have momentum, you can be surprised by what you can achieve. And for those who are serious, go connect with Pete, go listen and learn from him. The help is out there, so there's no excuses. It's there if you want it. So, Pete, thank you very much for speaking to us today. It was a total pleasure, and I'm looking forward to seeing you very soon. I'll be at the events that you're putting on, and I'm looking forward to connecting with the rest of the community. But for now, Ravi, IronWill, checking out. Thank you for listening, folks. Socials will be below. All right, I'm going to stop recording.